But let's get to the welcome mat. It's brought to you by Northlands Golf Course.
Let's get into it.
I don't know if it was malicious. Probably not. But I do know it was another WTF moment. My question to ownership would be, was it worth it? And the architect, and I use that term loosely, given there wasn't much architecture, more finger painting with this team. It's like the running of the Bulls in Pamplona. You know someone is going to get hurt.
That's what you all need to understand here, right now.
Brock Boeser missed practice, is not making the trip to the desert, and is suffering effects from that collision with Elias Pettersson and former Canuck turned Golden Knight Ben Hutton Sunday at Rogers Arena. Club is calling it an upper body injury, likely an arm or a shoulder, which adds to the back and hand injuries Boeser has suffered as a Canuck. Could well be that the Canucks are just being cautious here. They're out of the playoff hunt now, so no sense pushing a top player when he's not 100%. Don't know if or when he will return this season. 10 games left after a Vegas-Phoenix back-to-back tomorrow and Thursday, and so the time to rehabilitate this poor season is running short. In fact, barring a scorching late spurt here from Boeser, I think we can safely say that he's not going to reach 50 points on the year. If that's it for the campaign, it's a symmetrical 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points in 64 games. Not the season the Canucks or Boeser were hoping for after his successes against the Canadian division last year, team MVP. And this further cements that he won't be worth his qualifying offer of $7.5 million as a restricted free agent. The question now, as our buddies over at the Rinkwide podcast, Andrew Wadden and Jeff Patterson, are asking, if he's out for the rest of the year, has he played his last game as a Canuck? Boeser's name has long been out there as a trade candidate, but would the Canucks sell him this low? You could argue his NHL value has never been lower, especially inheriting that qualifying offer that I can't imagine any team would exercise. It's incumbent on the Canucks or whomever acquires Boeser to work out an extension at a smaller price. And oddly, I think this injury might help that matter with the Canucks. This new management group believes in him, and his shooting percentage is down this year. A bounce back to form next season isn't all that far-fetched. I could see an extension, a more team-friendly number. Because while this may be one of those cases where a club takes a player to arbitration, that's not an easy genie to put back in the bottle. And that's welcome mat for today. We invite your feedback. The feedback channels as follows on email, live at sekeresandprice.com. You can text 778-402-9680 to the Great Clips inbox. Great Clips, the official hair salon of the NHL. On Twitter, I'm at Sekeres or at Sekeres and Price. And the welcome mat, a presentation of Northlands Golf Course, celebrating 25 years of incredible golf on the North Shore. Join their loyalty program. Price of your next round could be free. Spring aeration's all done. We played it Saturday. Course is in magnificent shape. And taking your advanced bookings up to 90 days. Details at golfnorthlands.com.
It's been an interesting career arc for Brock Boeser. When he arrived as the first chance to have an elite superstar on the team, that's people were dreaming of Brock Boeser being that elite, maybe 40-goal guy. Remember, people started to dream big dreams for Brock Boeser. Horvat was around, but he wasn't going to be the superstar. And
Brock Boeser's rookie year this market was high on Brock Boeser.
Yeah.
In fact, they were high on Brock Boeser since his NHL debut, the game in Minnesota, where
right, that read the lineup, 9-game look-see was sunk the hook, and then you're right, 29 goals in just 62 games.
And was it one or was it 2 games that Travis Green held him out at the start of the year? You remember? 2?
2. Mm-hmm. 55-point season, which is one off the career high set the next year, but in more games. That's his best ever points per game pace was his rookie year.
So Chris Gear, the former assistant general manager of the Canucks, told us a few weeks ago, look, like this might be the one scenario whereby a team taking a player to arbitration, which you are allowed to do in the process, makes sense. And I completely understand what he is saying because Boeser's not worth 7.5, and I think every arbitrator is going to come to that conclusion, and the salary could get lower. Now, when I say that's not an easy genie to put back in the bottle, it is such a rarely used tool in the CBA that you're talking about feelings at that point. Feelings will be involved. I mean, feelings are involved in the arbitration process to begin with, but to have it be initiated by the club is a particularly rare and, of course, I would think hurtful experience to go through for the player. Take on trade for me. Like, we were hearing this player's name in trade rumors 6 weeks or so before the deadline, and people are like, oh, be careful, his season isn't great, and you wouldn't want to trade him and have him explode in the second half, or flourish. He's still a young player. He's still got this and that going for him. And I hear all of that. There is a little bit of a beware if you move him, but right now, I mean, what would you get for him? Whoever inherits him or whoever trades for him inherits this awful qualifying offer quagmire. They have to work out a deal with him.
Let's think like like his representatives. What do Brock Boeser's representatives want for him? They want to make sure that he makes decent money and sets himself up for a jackpot. Is 1 year enough? Can the Canucks now get on another bridge, a bridge of a bridge, so that if you're his representatives, you're thinking, okay, not ideal to sign another bridge, but then when you're 28, you get to sign your 7-year deal for maximum money.
Oh, you hope.
So
he's got to hold up his end of the bargain, but yes.
But you always bet on yourself, right? So if you're Boeser and his agent say, okay, we'll give him a little bit of a discount. We'll only go up to $6.5 million for 2 or 3 years. But then Brock, then you'll get your $8 million a year deal. Do they get convinced of that? Would they be game for that, saying we don't have a lot of power here? Or do they? Do they just say play chicken with the Canucks and say sign the QO or not?
Well, I look, there's no way the Canucks just walk away from the player. There's just no way.
So does he only need 1 year?
Either a trade or a reverse arbitration, if you ask me.
They don't just put up with the QO offer and let the guy play.
No, I don't think he's playing on 7-5 next year as a QO. No.
Yeah.
I think he's either got to resign or it's a trade it's the reverse arbitration
Is that
process.
a power play? Do you go to representatives and say, listen, we're going to have to go to reverse arbitration here.
I think you do.
Let's avoid that if we can.
That's exactly.
You know that we've got a play here. You know that we've got a case.
Yep.
So here's 2 years. We'll let Brock, show us what he's got over the next 2 years.
Correct.
At X number, which is deflated. It'll still be a small raise. He'll get his raise, but we need a more reasonable rate.
You say raise. I'm
6.5.
What's he making right now?
5.8, 5.9, basically.
Yeah, it's 5.87. I'm not even sure it is raise, Blake.
No.
I would go to him and say, "I've had a poor year. Now you're injured again." I think this is one where you put the screws to the agent and player. Yes, I do.
Same rate for 2 more years. Prove it to us, and then you get your massive deal.
I'm not even sure same rate.
You think they try to decrease the cap hit?
I think, Brock, here's a 2-year, $10 million deal. Take it or leave it.
Woo.
If you leave it, we're taking a reverse arbitration or you're being traded.
I think it's pie in the sky. I mean, great for the Canucks if they can make that happen, but I don't.
Well, that would be my starter. I mean, if I had to move up. But, yes, I think this is one where you do have to play a little bit of hardball. Well, you tell me. His shooting percentage is 10.7%. He's a career 13% shooter.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of luck this year, right?
Yep. Yeah,
But is it mostly luck? I would argue no, it's not mostly bad luck and shooting percentage.
Now, again, his rate,
I think
his rate
the league is getting
year,
faster. He's not a particularly good skater, so he's having less and less time to get off that shot. There are other guys who are good scorers on this team now, too, and they're getting their fair share of shots. JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, Bo Horvat on the power play. So
just think, he had almost 25% more goals last year in 8 fewer games to date. 23 goals in 56 games. You're okay with that rate. That was only a year ago. 23 and 56.
Now answer me the trade question. Do you think, could you see this group's trading him at this stage?
I can't imagine they get a value that they feel is
exactly
appropriate for him.
I don't think so either.
I think they would rather sign him short term, hope he inflates the value, maybe trade him then.
I think that's a much better way to do it, unless, and we don't know, we have no idea, Alvin is a pretty close to the vest guy, and Rutherford likes to be that way as well. They may just not believe in him, period. I don't know. It may well be that they look and go, yeah, that's a guy who could have scored a lot of goals back when the NHL was not quite as quick as it is now.
Brock Boeser.
They may not think him close to the core. I don't know that. I'm just saying it is reasonable to draw that conclusion based on the year he's had. In fact, he's been an injury-prone player too.
Brock Boeser for John Marino straight up. Who says no?
I don't know. What's Marino making?
4, I want to say. 4-4.
I would suspect Pittsburgh. I mean, Marino's a right-shot defenseman.
Yep.
Yeah, I suspect.
Pittsburgh says no.
Well,
on a 4.5.
Right-shot defensemen are really hard to get, and ones that can play with the puck are even more.
He's youngish,
scarce.
cost control, signed long-term.
Yeah, he's a good investment.